Hey there, and welcome to the Pip and Pin podcast. I am your host, Megan Nodecker, and today I'm going to talk about some of the projects that I've been working on and a really fun event that I'm taking part in as well. So, welcome, and let's get started. The first thing before I start talking about the things that I'm working on, because I have some really exciting things that I have been working on this past few weeks. If you didn't watch my previous episode, you may not know, but I have decided to take a little hiatus from designing. And it was just kind of a split decision that I made one day while I was sitting in my closet. And I'm really excited about it. This has given me so much more excitement when it comes to knitting. And so this past month, I've really just been really excited about casting on sweaters from other designers and um, kind of being able to teach you through that. If you don't know too much about me, I am really passionate about teaching knitters about sweaters and fit and how to make them fit your body, um, all sorts of sweater related things. Now, when I was designing sweaters, of course, and I was designing sweaters that I wanted and that would fit me. So it was kind of getting hard to design sweaters, but also find opportunities to teach about sweaters because I wasn't having to modify anything. I wasn't having to make any changes because I was already making the sweaters that I wanted to make. So even just this past month and a half, I've found so many opportunities to talk about different things, different modifications I'm making, and just be really excited about knitting again in general. If I'm being honest, I was feeling pretty bogged down. I was feeling a little uninspired, and that's not the case anymore. So that's been really exciting. But before I show you the things that I've been working on and tell you about the new places that I've been. I did want to first off tell you about an event that I am taking part in because it is coming up pretty quick. It is a free online event called the Yarn to Wardrobe Summit. And basically what this is it's a free 4-day event where there's, I think, over 20 designers who have made videos on all sorts of different topics, all about how to create things that you're actually going to wear and want to wear. So how to make your craft better. Now this is for knitters and crocheters, which I think is really exciting because I think there is a lot of overlap in those two crafts, especially when you talk about things like fit and gauge and measurements. So there's just so many ways that those two crafts interweave. So if you are only a knitter, that's fine. There's lots of things that are kind of just for knitters. If you're only a crocheter, that's fine too, because there's things that are just for only for crocheters. But if you do both, or if you're interested in both, there's so many topics that do overlap as well. So these are over 20 pre-recorded videos that kind of get released over this 4-day period for free. And you get free access to these videos for 48 hours. So over the course of the 4 days, videos will continually be released and you'll have 48 hours from that video's release date to watch it. It's a big event. It's really cool. I've participated in this this will be my 3rd year, and there's always such great feedback from it because there's such a variety of instructors, there's such a variety of topics. You can pick and choose what you want to watch, and it's completely free. So this is going to be running from February 17th to 20th, and all you have to do is sign up for your ticket. So I'll pop a link down below where you can sign up for free, and you'll get prompted to create an account, and there you'll have access to all the videos once they become released. There's also going to be, in addition to these videos, there's also a couple of live panels as well. I think there's 1 or 2 per day. So I think I'm going to be in the first panel. I forget what I'm going to be talking about. But there is also a chance to interact live with instructors as well. Um, Yeah, so this really is just for anybody who wants to create something to wear. This is sweaters, hats, socks, knitting and crochet both together. If you go to the link down below, you'll be able to see all the videos that are and all the different topics that all the different instructors are going to be talking about. It's a really, really, really cool event. And it's completely free. There is an option if you want to upgrade your ticket. Once you sign up, you will be given an option to upgrade it. And that really just allows you, there's two kind of options, I think. And those just allow you to have unlimited access to all the videos. So if you want to rewatch them, or if you didn't quite get enough time to watch the ones that you wanted to watch, you'll have access to those along with presentation notes, along, and then there's also Super Pack, which has a bundle of freebies and bonus extras from some of the participating instructors, and it's like a crazy, crazy amount of value for not a ton of money. I think until the 16th, the Super Pack bundles are on sale, and then they will go up, once the event is live. But it's completely optional, so you don't have to pay for anything if you don't want to. The 4-day event is completely free, totally online, and I'm just always really excited about it. So what I'm going to be talking about in my video is just some really kind of not always simple, but just some ways that you can customize your sweaters. So I talk a lot about how you can add different edgings and kind of what those are, different hems, different collars, things like that. I talk about stitch patterns. I talk about colors. I talk about gauge a little bit as well, and kind of walk you through what to do if your gauge doesn't match the designer's. There's some free downloads you can get. So there's just like a lot of kind of easy ways that you can make changes on your own to basically any sweater pattern. I don't go too deep into any of them, but I do. It's mostly for like inspiration, and here's a big list of things that you can do and how you can kind of implement those. Yeah, so again, that is going to be starting on February 17th, so in just a few days. Make sure you grab your free ticket below. You can upgrade if you want to. That price goes up on the 17th when the event actually does start. And I hope to see you there, because I'm going to be watching these videos as well. I'm really excited. There are lots of incredible teachers, and yeah, I'm very excited to watch some of these videos as well. So, aside from that, I've been working on some stuff. And one of the things I don't have with me, so I'll guess I'll talk about that one first. But I showed it last time. It's a pair of socks that I've been working on, and I usually kind of always have a pair of socks on the go, so I probably won't show them to you every episode. I used to show absolutely everything, but I think I'm just going to talk about things that I'm actively working on and doing interesting things with. So socks, to me, I'm not doing anything interesting with them. I'll show them to you when they're done. But one thing that did happen was a couple weeks ago, I was in Hope, and Hope, British Columbia. It's a teeny tiny little town. And my Chalgu cable snapped. Like, didn't really snap all at once. It kind of, over the course of the evening, as I was at my in-laws' house, it kind of, the the wrap kind of started to go, and then I could see the cable, but I was still trying to knit, and I was still, I was trying to make it work. And then the next morning, um, I tried to knit with it again, and then the cable did fully snap. Now, I've had this set of Chalgu interchangeable needles for 8 years, maybe. And knitting is my job, and those are the only needles that I use. And this is the first time anything like that has happened. Now, there is a yarn store in Hope, one that I had never been to before, and I can't remember the name of it. But I will put the link to it down below. I was gonna look this up before I started, but I didn't. So I'll put a link to it down below. But if you are ever in Hope, if you're passing through Hope, because that's kind of where all the highways, explode. Um, if you're ever passing through Hope and need something, go there. It's the cutest shop. It has lots of, it doesn't just have, like, it has yarn, it has tools, it has all these things. It has looms. I think they do um, like weaving classes and things there. If I lived in town, I would definitely try some of that. My aunt is a weaver, and I've always been so interested in it. But yeah, so I walk into the store and it's like huge. And then they also, because it's Hope is kind of like a touristy town, and it's right on the main drag, they also have like knit and crochet things for sale. So like kind of like a little bit of a gift shop as well. But anyways, I walked in there. I was walking around with Georgia. I saw on the outside, the day before when we drove by that they had Chow needles. I was like, okay, I'm just going to go pick up another cord for the drive home so that I can knit these socks on my drive home. And I find the cord. It's all as well. And then I get to the front and the girl's like, oh, like I was telling her kind of what had happened, that it was a replacement. And she said, oh, well, I can just swap them for you because if I send the broken one back, Xiaogu will just reimburse me for it. So I didn't even have to pay for my new cable needle, even after 8 years of using it probably every single day. I just got a replacement for free. So that's, people always ask about what needles you use or what things like that. I have probably since I got them, I started off with an Addy interchangeable set, which I also really liked those, but I kept hearing really great things about the Xiaogu cords and how flexible they are and how light they are. So I did buy a set of those and I switched immediately. I also like the sharper tips. So once I got my Xiaogu set, I never really looked back. And that's just another point in their favor that, okay, so this cable broke and they're just going to replace it for free. So that was awesome. That's my story. Go to the yarn store and Hope if you get a chance because it is adorable in there. And Chug was awesome. On to the sweater that I've been making. So I have made tons of progress. I think last time I showed you this sweater, I had just finished the color work yoke. And this is the Paul Klee sweater. And I'm just about done the body now. And there has been some things happening. So one of the things that I always like to do is I can't remember if I had blocked this before in my last episode as well, but after I finish a step, generally, I like to block it. So I had finished the color work and I did want to know about how deep that is and how it was actually going to behave. So I did go ahead and put it on a big long cable and block it. I do that a lot. The whole sweater has been blocked again. Um, and generally, like kind of my intention for blocking it just after the color work was I was going to go back and add the collar and do the short row shaping. But as you can see, I still haven't done that. I've been a little bit scared of this sweater for the past little while for a couple different reasons. The main thing is I have exactly this much yarn left. This is light sock. It's not sweet sock. It's light sock from Midnight Cravings in their evening gown colorway, which they don't actually dye anymore. And I started off with 3 skeins of it. And I knew this going in. I knew that this probably wasn't going to be enough to do the whole sweater. And the more that I'm working with this color, oh no, sorry, I only had 2 skeins of this. I didn't have 3. I only had 2. So as I've been working with this, as I've been doing the body, this generally isn't a color that I would pick for a whole sweater, but I am really loving it a lot. And I'm very sad that I don't have more of this yarn because I do just I do just want to have the whole body and the whole sleeves in this color. So I've kind of been having, I'm having there's some decisions that I need to make. And one of those decisions, one of the big decisions is how I'm going to make this work with this whole sweater. Still not quite there yet. I don't quite have answers for you yet. I'm just thinking about one step at a time. So after I had blocked this, my plan was to go back and do the collar and the short rows, but I don't know if I'm going to do the collar and the short rows in this green or not. I'm leaning towards no. So my kind of thought is to use this dark green because I think that would be, I've seen some people do the neckline in a different color than their main body color, and I think it looks wonderful. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And I've been thinking about this dark green. But I also, this bright red has been calling me as well, but I almost feel like if I use that bright red, it might read too Christmas. I was already worried about the red and the green reading a little too Christmassy to begin with, so adding more red at the collar might just push it over the edge. So I'm thinking this green, maybe this burgundy, but I still haven't decided. Usually I would recommend, like, part of the reason why I block two is to make sure that the yoke is going to be long enough and it's going to fit right. So usually I do recommend doing the collar and everything before you do the separation for the sleeves so that you know exactly where it's going to sit on your body before you do that separation. So I'm playing with a little bit of fire here, but that's okay. So that's one decision that I have yet to decide. The other thing that I'm also stuck on is the body, the length of the body. Now, I have decided to kind of base this sweater and the sizing of this sweater on a sweater that I already own. It is a top-down fingering weight circular yoke sweater as well, and I kind of just wanted the same measurements. I liked the fit of it. I liked how, I just really liked how it fit on me, but I was going to make it a little bit shorter because that one is, I made it in a different era. So it's quite long, and I do like to wear things a little bit shorter now because my pants also got higher. um, but I think I've made this too short. I was working on this at knit night, and I thought I had the right length. I hadn't blocked it yet, and I started working the hem in 1x1 rib, which I'm also not too sure about. Sometimes I love 1x1 rib and sometimes I don't, and I just don't feel like I'm loving it in this yarn. So I stopped because I was so unsure about those things now. I stopped halfway through, put my yarn on holders, and I blocked it again. And with that block, I realized that, yeah, it is still just a little bit too short. And I don't like the 1x100. So I am going to rip back, add a little bit more length, and then I'm probably going to put it back on holders and think about the hem later. Again, we always come back to yarn management because I really don't have a lot of this and I want to make it go as far as possible. So I'm thinking of maybe doing the hem in a different color as well, but it would have to be the same color. And now there's also sleeves that I have to do, which I really, really just want to do the sleeves in one color, but I 100% don't have enough to do that. So I might do some more color work at the ends of the sleeves. I might do some stripes at the ends of the sleeves. I was looking through some of the projects on Ravelry of other people who'd done this sweater and saw some of the things that they had done. So I'm also have not decided about that yet, but I did put my stitches, I could also just make them shorter sleeves, but they would have to be at least at least here. Like I generally push my sleeves up, so this would be acceptable, but even a 3/4 sleeve is not the same as having a full sleeve and pushing it up. So we'll see. I kind of got in, when I cast on this sweater, this is a lot of colors in one sweater for me. And so it's already kind of outside of my comfort zone that way. So I'm just having fun knitting this sweater. I'm not putting too much pressure on it because it's already outside of something that I might wear anyways. So we'll see how it goes. I'm still having fun. I'm still having fun. One thing too, one thing I did want to talk about was these increases here. So something that's really cool about this sweater, and I haven't really worked with before, is it's a bit of a hybrid. So the color work, this is all circular yoke construction. So there are sneaky little increases hidden about all around here. Once you get done the color work, it kind of switches to a raglan. So these raglan, instead of doing increases around the whole thing, then you just do raglan increases, two at the front and two at the back. One little gripe I have with this particular pattern is that they do have I'll pull it up for you. They do have a pretty good schematic. But after teaching about sweater fit for the couple years that I have been, I realized that I'm really picky about schematics. And so this is the schematic that they have. It's great. It's great that they even have a schematic. Some of them don't. But one thing that I did not love is it shows you how deep the color work is, but it doesn't really show you how deep the whole yoke is. It shows you how tall this is, but I'm not sure if that's what this means. And they don't really have descriptions. So if there was a description of what B meant a little more clearly, I would have a bit of a better idea of what I'm looking at. But they don't. So I just kind of was knitting it as the pattern had said. And in the pattern, once you do the color work, depending on your size, they do get you to knit a few rounds straight and then start your increases. As I was kind of going through it though, I was realizing that the yoke was getting very long. Again, yarn management, first off, I didn't want a super low underarm just because of the fit. I also didn't want to waste a bunch of yarn more on the yoke. So I could kind of tell, I got halfway through the instructions and I could tell that it was going to be much longer than I wanted. So I did end up ripping back and I started the increases right away instead. Also, if you remember from last time, I am going to, I've kind of combined two sizes. So the body of the sweater is actually a different size than the sleeves. And these raglan increases actually make that really, really easy to do, to combine those two sizes, because I just figured out how many stitches I wanted for my sleeve, making sure to remember these underarm stitches that I'm going to be picking up later. And whenever I got done, like whenever I did my increases and reached that number for the sleeves, I just stopped increasing for the sleeves. So generally with a raglan, you're increasing 8 stitches, 4 for the body and 4 for the sleeves, each time you do a round. But you don't have to do that. So what I've done is once I got to however many stitches I wanted on my sleeves, from then on I just did the increases on the front and back of the body. And then you can even see, if I hold it up proper, you should be able to see that it goes straight, 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 and then it curves a little bit out this way. And that curve is where I stopped increasing for the sleeve and kept increasing for the body. Also, when I was getting to the end of my increases, I took stock of how long this yoke was becoming, and it was still going to be, I think, I had 10 rows left that I needed to do, but I really didn't want 10 rows of length. I only kind of wanted that 5 rows of length. So instead of doing an increase round and then knitting around straight with no increases like that was in the pattern, I just did increase rounds every time. So my sleeves were already done. Those I was just knitting straight. But then instead of knitting every second round as an increase round for the body, I was doing every round as an increase round for the body. And that just shortened up my yoke a little bit, so that my underarm wasn't too long. Anything else that I needed to say about this sweater? I don't think so. No. Yeah, so there's still just a lot of deciding that has to go on with this sweater. And as I was blocking it and as I was thinking about these decisions, I know myself with sweaters, in regards to sweaters, I know myself pretty well. And I need time. I need time to process my decisions, and I need time to let things sit, um, until I can move on, and carry on. So I kind of got to here, and I was feeling like, okay, I can move forward this, or I can move forward with this, or I can move forward with this, but I wasn't really strong in any of my feelings about it, and I wanted to block it again. So I was like, okay, well, I don't really want to knit on my sock anymore. So now what? And then I realized that I'm a grown adult and I can just cast on another sweater. So that's what I did. Um, it's another sweater that I've been thinking about for a few years, and generally when I was designing things, I would try to, try to get things done at a good clip. Um, Now that I'm not, I can work on multiple projects at a time. I can let this Paul Klee sweater sit for as long as it needs to sit until I am confident in my next steps forward, which I am a little bit in some of it. I know I'm going to take that bottom band off and knit a couple more rounds. We'll just let the rest of it sit for a bit. But I did cast on and swatch for another sweater. I actually haven't cast on yet, but I've swatched for it. And so the sweater I'm going to be making is the Rosie sweater. And this is something that I had my eye on for a while. I've seen so many of them out and about, and I just think it's so cute. I love the color work. It's like, I don't know, it just feels like a very cozy sweater. And just before I kind of came to my realization about designing, I had picked up some yarn from Knit City in Vancouver, from Ancient Arts, and it is Lasco Worsted or Lasco Fine, which is this beautiful, beautiful wool blend. And I picked it up in this kind of wine color, and which is called a French Bordeaux, and then this pale pink color, which is called, appropriately, Petal. And this is a fingering weight yarn, and in the pattern, it has suggested to do a fingering weight held with a mohair. I didn't have mohair, and I'm okay with not knitting a sweater at the gauge that the designer has suggested, because obviously those would be two very different gauges. So I did my swatches with just the single yarn, and I think they turned out really nice. This yarn, I've used the worsted of this yarn before to make a sweater, and it's fantastic. It's light, it's kind of drapey, but it's still a little toothy. I don't know, and I really, really love this color. So yeah, those are the swatches that I did, and I very much did not get gauge. But then something happened. So I went to another yarn store, and because last weekend a new yarn store opened up in Fort Langley, which is about a 20 5-minute, half an hour drive from me. I don't have very many yarn stores around me anymore. So having one open up so close is very, very exciting. They are called the Woolly Bulldog. Again, I'll put the link down below, but I went in there on Sunday with Georgia. We drove out to Fort Langley. Fort Langley is like this adorable little town, and it has all the good antique stores. There's one in particular, this like big giant place. So it's one of those places that every once in a while on the weekend we'll go out as a family and, they have cute coffee shops and we'll go get something to eat and then we'll go to the junk store. And now there's a yarn store there. So we went, George and I, Justin stayed at at the antique store, but George and I went to the yarn store and it is adorable. Like I can't even explain to you how excited I am to have another yarn store so close. And that just felt so welcoming to be in. Like the space is beautiful. It has these big giant windows. It's all bright and open. And the yarns they had there were gorgeous. They have all sorts of different yarns. And she said, we just opened up, so there'll be more eventually. They're going to be doing classes. They have like a book library. All sorts of amazing things. So if you're in the area, definitely check out that yarn store. But while I was there looking at stuff, I saw their wall of, they have a wall of Knitting for Olive yarns and some mohair. And it just so happened that there was this mohair and this mohair in the exact colors that I'm making this sweater in. So I decided to pick some up. I will have to go back because I did not get enough. But that's fine. It's right down the road. Oh no, I'll have to go to the yarn store again. But I did pick some up because I've never actually, in my hundreds of years of knitting, I've never made a whole sweater with mohair held double. I know. I live in the Pacific Northwest and it doesn't actually get that cold here. This winter, it's the first winter in 8 years or something that we did not get any snow in Abbotsford or Vancouver. There was a little bit of snow in Hope when we went down for Christmas, so that was fun. So we got to see a little bit of snow, but in general here, it did not snow at all. So this is going to be, like, mohair has always felt very warm to me, and I just don't really need something that warm, except then I saw this, and then I swatched this, and I do need something this warm. It may not be the something that I wear all the time, every day, but man, this is going to be beautiful. Like these swatches with just the ancient arts by themselves are gorgeous. But I was also a little bit peeved that, of course, I picked another sweater that was going to be fingering weight, and I was going to have to knit on US 4 needles. But then I did this swatch, and it's on US 6, so it's more like a DK. And it's just like, it's fuzzy and it's kind of soft looking and bigger, so it will take a little less time. It'll be very satisfying. I got the exact gauge that's in the pattern, so that's going to make picking my size a lot easier. I have not picked my size yet, but that'll be the next kind of thing I tackle, is going through the sizes and seeing which one I want to do. And I am very, very, very excited about this. Speaking of the pattern, I have not picked my size yet. And one of the reasons why is I have a couple of gripes with this pattern. I've never knit anything from this designer before because I've literally there's very few sweaters that I've knit from other designers. So that is not an uncommon thing. But there's a couple things that I don't love about this already. I printed it out so that I could do my swatch, and I haven't decided my size yet, but I was going through the information in the pattern to see what they say about it. And there's just a couple of things that irk me a little bit. Now, I'm not saying that it's a bad pattern at all. I haven't even got into the directions or anything like that. But as somebody who does design, I teach about sweater sizes and how to pick them and modifying patterns. And there's just a lot of things. I also did tech editing as well. So there's just a lot of things that that a designer can put in a pattern that will really make a big impact when it comes to kind of modifying things or doing your own things. Um, so there's a couple of there's a couple of things, and I feel like I need to mention them because I don't. Yeah, I just feel like I need to mention them. This isn't going to stop me from making this sweater, but it has created a couple little roadblocks. So we'll leave that as that is. The first thing I noticed is in the sizes, they have combined a couple of sizes together, and that is not an issue at all. This is a very large pattern repeat. So having sizes, every 4 inches isn't possible when you're doing something like this. Um, but just kind of the way they've said it is like when okay, let's go back a little bit. When you're designing a pattern, you work from something that's called a like a measurements. It's basically a chart with basic measurements on it that you can base your sizes off of. That's how we grade patterns. That's what we do. The sizing chart that I use goes from extra, extra small to 5XL, which is the one that you can find for free, and a lot of designers use this one. I've actually added an extra size onto my own personal chart, so mine actually has one extra size. Now, right away in the beginning, she says some of these sizes are combined, like the extra, extra small and the extra small is one size. The medium and the large is one size. But if you're not a designer and you've never seen that chart, that doesn't matter. The actual measurements matter. So sorry, that might have been a little bit confusing to anyone who doesn't really know what I'm talking about. But there was just some extraneous information to begin with that could confuse knitters. And now the next thing I kind of looked at was the measurements, and it says circumference and length. And I didn't know right away whether those measurements were the measurements of the sweater or the measurements of the body. So I did have to find, there is a size guide in here. So I did have to read through the size guide to find out that these were actually the finished measurements of the sweater. Good to know. It goes from finished measurements from 40.5 inches to 63 inches. Now, also reading through the sizing guide, it says that it's designed to have between 7.75 and 12.5 inches of positive ease, and that it has a large amount of positive ease in the smaller sizes that gradually gets less positive in the larger sizes, which is fine. That's actually a great way to have consistency throughout ease. But they don't tell you those recommendations and what they've actually, again, going back to the sizing charts that designers use when they're doing their grading, they don't actually tell you how much ease they've put into each size. So you just kind of have to guess, I guess, which is if I have any advice for designers, as someone who teaches an entire class about designing knitwear and writing patterns and doing things like that, one of the biggest pieces of advice that I have is don't let knitters, don't make your knitter have to guess. So give every single piece of information that you can and that you have, so that your knitter isn't left guessing. I'm guessing. about the amount of ease. And actually what I did is I went through the patterns on Ravelry. If you go on Ravelry and you find a pattern that you like, there at the top there's projects. And so you can see all the different projects that other knitters have made. So I found a couple that I really liked how they fit, um, and asked them how much ease they had. So that I would choose the appropriate amount. They do, to their credit in this pattern, they do tell you that in the photos, they have 11.75 inches of positive ease, which is a little bit more than I think I would like, especially because this fabric is, it's not super drapey, but it is a little bit, but it's a little bit stiff. So I don't want a ton of positive ease. So few people did get back to me, and I think the ease that I'm gonna do is about 8 or 9 inches, because that's kind of where all those people, if the few people that did get back to me about their sweater projects, that's about how much ease they had. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. But yeah, if you're a designer, don't make people guess. With that in mind too, another thing I kind of looked at, if there's 12 inches of positive ease in this sweater, even in the largest size, one would assume that she has the smallest, she designed it with the smallest amount of positive ease, so 7.75. The largest size, the largest finished measurement is 63 inches. And if you do 63 minus 7.75, the largest bust measurement that this sweater is going to fit is 55.25, which is not the worst I've ever seen, but it's also not the best. I think probably for me, I'm probably going to have to knit the second largest, maybe the third largest size. And being someone who does think size inclusive patterns are very important, this kind of misses the mark for me. I do wish that she had at least 1 or 2 sizes that were a bit bigger. That, you know, when we talk about size inclusivity, we talk about at least 60 inches. And to me, that means finished, like, bust measurement. So 60 inches bust measurement plus whatever ease you're adding in. So that's kind of another point against it. But probably the biggest thing, I feel like, okay, I feel really bad right now because I am picking this pattern apart. And it is nothing to do with the designer. It is, there's just some things that I think get overlooked sometimes in the beginning stages of patterns. And like, I've kind of read through the instructions a little bit. Everything looks like it's laid out very nicely. I'm just being ultra nitpicky about certain things, because that's what I do. And this is kind of, you know, I feel really bad, but also I would not, I feel really bad for picking this pattern apart, but I also would not feel good about not telling you these things, and because I think it's important. So anyways, one more thing. As I'm going to continue on. There's one more thing that I really wish this pattern had included. Nowhere to be seen is a schematic. So the finished measurements that you are given is circumference and length. And that kind of sucks, if I'm being honest. That's really not good. So what I am going to have to do, and probably why I haven't picked my size yet, what I'm going to have to do is go through, I'm going to pick my size based on the information that is given here. I'm going to pick my size, and then I'm going to go through, because I also want to know, especially the sleeve size. I want to know how big the sleeves are. I want to know what the armhole depth is. Um, I want to know how long it is from the underarm. I want to know these things so that if I want to change them, they're easy to change. And so I think probably so far, the two biggest marks about this pattern is the lack of inclusive sizing, in my opinion, and the lack of a schematic. Because I can forgive no schematic if there's a really good list of um, of measurements. And you know what I'm going to do right now, because I would feel really terrible if I was just being dumb and didn't see it. But I really just want to pull up the pattern on Ravelry to see if it's like in here somewhere. Okay, Rosie sweater. Because I always put the schematic and everything in the, like as a picture in the pattern itself. But no, I don't think so. No, it's just missing. So what I'm going to have to do is pick my size based on the information that's here, which is basically the finished circumference of the body, and go through the pattern to see the stitch counts of other parts of the pattern and create my own schematic from that. So essentially, what I do notice about this pattern is the sections are laid out very nicely. That part of it is going to be really easy for me, because I can see, okay, here's the yoke. I want to know how long the yoke is. I should be able to find either how many rows that is, or if she has a knit 2 length in there anywhere. I should probably easily be able to find that information based on the instructions she's given. So that's great. But it is a bit of work that I'm going to have to do. I definitely want to find out probably the 4 main things that I want to find out immediately to pick the size that I want is I'm going to double check the stitches at the bust, just to make sure that it's going to turn out to the right measurements. So essentially to do that, hang on, I'll tell you how to do that in a second. So I want to find the bust. I want to find the upper arm circumference. I want to find the wrist circumference. I want to find the wrist or the arm length. I want to find the body length from the underarm, and I want to find the yoke depth. So those are all the things that I want to find. How you do that, if this is something that you feel you need to do as well, how you're going to go about doing that is finding, so say for the body, I want to find out the circumference of the body and make sure that it matches with what she said there. So I find how many stitches are, I believe this is a top-down sweater. So once you separate for the sleeves, how many stitches are across the body here? And then you look at the gauge. So the gauge given, which I'm pretty sure is the same gauge that I have, is 21 stitches for over 4 inches. So I'm going to find out how many stitches per inch that is. So go 21 divided by 4 is 5.25. So for every inch, there's 5.25 stitches. So then I find how many stitches are in the whole circumference. So let's see if I can just quickly find that here. Yeah. Okay, so there it is, right at the first paragraph of the body there. We'll guess I'm going to be in the second largest, so 288 stitches divided by our stitches per inch, which is 5.25, is 54 stitches. Does that match what she says? It does. Yep. So I'll just go through for all of the circumferences. So for the bust, for the upper arm, for the wrist, that's how I'm going to find those measurements. And I'm just even going to draw a little picture and write those measurements on there for like the yoke depth, I might be looking for how many rows are in your yoke depth. I think this is also a combo. This is like a drop shoulder raglan combo, so another interesting construction. And then they could also be listed as like a two knit length, and by that I mean somewhere in the pattern it might say knit until your piece measures 15 inches from the underarm, and then add in your cuff, however long your cuff is, and that's how long it is from the underarm. So that's kind of what's next on my to-do list now that I have a swatch that I'm absolutely in love with. And yeah, I think this is going to be a really interesting construction. I believe, I can't really tell from the pictures, and I didn't read through the beginning part of the pattern entirely yet, but I believe this might be like a European drop shoulder as well, but I could be wrong. We'll see. I haven't actually read it yet. Yeah, so I'm very excited to dig into that a little more and get started on that. And then the one other thing that I wanted to share with you, because when I was at the Woolly Bulldog with Georgia getting this beautiful mohair yarn, I also picked up a couple other things because they have lots of other things there. I got an embroidery kit, and I've decided that I like doing embroidery. I like doing cross stitch. But it's never my like main thing that I'm working on, and I have a very small space. So I don't want to buy a lot of stuff for new projects all the time. Um, so I've just started, whenever I feel the hankering to do a little needlepoint, I buy a little kit, and it's been working wonderfully for me. And so this is the little embroidery kit that I got, some weird little flower puffins. Um, this is from Hook Line Tinker, and I will put a link to that down below. And this comes with everything you need. So it's actually printed on fabric, and then it tells you what stitches to do. It gives you all of the thread. I'm pretty sure it even has a needle in there for you. It has the hoop, everything. So that's great. I'm very excited to start working on this. I actually got this one. They had all sorts of different designs in there as well. The reason I got this one is because last summer I went to, they had like a music night in the park thing, and they had some vendors at that. It's called Jam and Jubilee. And there was a girl there who did like lino cut printing, and she had all sorts of really cool designs. And my husband's favorite bird is the crow, and so she had a cute print of like a crow, and so I got that for him. So that's kind of on our mantelpiece, and I thought the puffin would be a nice addition. It's in black and white, and so to have the black and white crow with this little black and white puffin, so maybe we'll start a little collection of bird things. And when we move and have a house, well, I don't know. I think that would be like a cute bathroom thing to have a little black and white bird themed bathroom. Anyway, that is, that's it. Yeah, so I'm gonna make some decisions about Paul Klee. I'm going to do some technical drawings for Rosie and cast that on. Uh, go back to the yarn store probably and pick up some more of this, and maybe something else. And yeah, I guess I will see you next time. Oh, if you want to learn some things from me and many, many other instructors, either about knitting or crochet or both, or anything about wearable things, make sure to sign up for the Yarn to Wardrobe Summit. That is happening. It's starting on February 17th, goes until the 20th. Every Once a video is released, you have 48 hours to watch it for free, and then there's options to upgrade your ticket as well. So I really hope to see you there, and I will see you next time. Bye.